Hey guys, welcome back to Young Americans Abroad. On this special summer episode, the special edition, we're going to dive in and talk USMNT transfers. So let's run the intro and get into it.
Yeah, we got AVT and PAT. They talking about young Americans overseas. We got McKinney, Pulisic, Reina, and Des. Got that red, white, and blue USA on the crest. From England, Germany, from Belgium to Spain, racking up all the medals on the trophy train. Got one thing on their mind, with skill and some luck. One day we can say we will win the World Cup.
So we are back here, guys. Thank you again. Thank you for sticking with us here. Through kind of a choppy summer, to be transparent, right? I know we haven't been posting consistently here on YouTube, but we're going to get back into it with the seasons heating up. So thank you again for sticking with us. I expect a lot more content here on YouTube and podcasts going forward. Of course, Instagram and Twitter, putting out content there, but we will be ramping up YouTube here again. But there is a lot of great content here, especially with the transfers heating up. So we wanted to do a check-in with our Americans abroad, right? These players fighting for a spot in that roster to Qatar. A lot to dive into here. So again, Austin will be out here today. I'll be flying solo, taking us through the USMNT transfers, what's kind of hot here in the market. And then in addition, we'll have a special kind of ending to our episode with one of the highly coveted U.S. goalie prospects here. We'll talk of that potential move. It's been verbally agreed, so more to come there. But let's dive into it. So the first player we are going to touch on here, an exciting move for Luca de la Torre. Recently made the move here, I believe it was last Friday or so, to La Liga side Celta Vigo for a mere $2 million. That is a steal, in my opinion, and Austin's opinion too. But yeah, just a really exciting move for Luca. Obviously, Heracles being relegated to the Eredivisie there, the second tier in the Netherlands, was tough. And you did hear some rumblings, and even through Luca, right? He had this agreement in place with Heracles in case this scenario happened. They'd find a home for him, transfer, some behind deals similar to that, right? So that is a really, really exciting move. A huge step, in my opinion. I was kind of surprised. I know Austin and I touched on previous episodes, top 4 or 5 team in the Eredivisie. Feyenoord we've mentioned in terms of their style of play. Maybe even a PSV or an AZ Alkmaar, some of those other highly coveted Dutch teams. So to see him go to La Liga, a league very technical that fits his skill set, a top 4 league, arguably one of the best leagues in the world, next to the Prem there. You could debate that, right? Fantastic, fantastic move for Luca de la Torre nonetheless. But also you could say poses a risky move, a really big bet on himself, according to Jeff Carlisle in his article there, right? Very true. I completely agree. And great article if you haven't read that yet. Now, just to kind of recap Luca's season here at Heracles, right? Obviously, he had that tough time at Fulham, found a home here, consistent minutes and playing time, regular starter there for, again, a bottom league team there in the Eredivisie. And collectively, I think over 60 appearances, only 2 goals and 3 assists. However, if you're just looking at those stats, right, you're not really getting that whole picture, diving into analysis, watching some footage there. I know it's hard to catch some of those games, right? Reading some of the threads, right, and some of the articles from folks in the Eredivisie. So there's a lot to take into his game, and that's something we'll talk about, areas that he needs to improve in. But there's so much more than those 2 goals and 3 assists to what he does. But again, what he did mainly with Heracles, flexed around the midfield a lot due to injuries and just poor games for a lot of other folks. I mean, Luca had a pretty good season, but he was more progressive in that midfield in a double pivot type of role. Shifted around as well. Saw instances where he played as a 10 to a central mid, but in that double pivot, he was very, very effective. So this move to Celta Vigo, like I said, amazing. Luis Campo really, really liked him. The sporting director there, and really knows how to identify talent. Fabrizio Romano mentioned he is a huge, highly respected, scout in terms of the players he likes to bring and develop. So, just knowing he wanted Luca is awesome. It's fantastic, right? Now, Celta Vigo, a little bit more on them before I dive into again, Luca's strengths there and what he needs to improve on. Celta Vigo fit him perfectly, especially the league. They like to keep the ball, attacking football, right? And Luke even mentioned this in an interview. They're looking for somebody to work ethic off the ball is what the manager wants, pressing their hard work, as well as, again, having the technical flair and skill there to that possession attacking style of football, quick in transition. So that's exactly Luca's game. Now, it's interesting doing some research here that one of the Spanish outlets deemed LDLT as kind of just essentially increased competition in the squad, hence that smaller fee there. Obviously, they don't have the biggest budget, but a lot of media writing him off more of a role player, maybe not starting right away, which is fair. But again, Campos seemed very high on his potential, and a huge bet for Luca too. Betting on himself, like in Jeff Carlisle's article, especially with the World Cup here. He could have played it safe with Heracles, or maybe even another kind of on par move and staying in their divisi, but this is a huge bet on himself. So, yeah, just a little bit more about Celta Vigo. Mid-table team, very consistent La Liga. They played primarily in that 4-4-2 diamond. They have had some turnover there in the midfield, but they've also brought in some folks. Obviously, they have that staple Dennis Suarez. We all know who that is, right? Very strong player there who's had some great success in La Liga, as well as right now they have Renato Tapia and then Beltran, more defensive. But they also just brought in Oscar Rodriguez from Sevilla as well. So there will be some playing time, definitely some competition there. He won't be that lock-in starter right away unless he really impresses here in preseason camp, hits the ground running, which again, Luca has that strong mentality. Look what he's done with the USMNT, proving Berhalter wrong, right? Posting those highlights of himself transitioning, touting his abilities and skills there. Also, being smart to take that move down from Fulham to Heracles, work his way into that lineup, and now going to a really, really high level league here with La Liga. So there are some players being brought in. There was some transition and turnover here. But Celta Vigo, right? They want to stay, in that mid-table, maybe come closer to that conference league spot. So it's going to be really exciting how Luca progresses there. Now, with Celta Vigo, right, transitioning to what we all know about Luca, his ball progression, right? His quick bursts of acceleration and speed are fantastic. If you watch his box-box ball progression, he is a smaller guy, right? Smaller in stature and frame, but he has the intelligence, the shiftiness to anticipate pressure, turn beautifully, and just so technical aware. You can't really get the ball off of him. And then in a blink of an eye, he can get past you, which I think a lot of folks have said is kind of underrated in terms of his quick acceleration here. Now, with that fantastic acceleration, the ball progression, the vision, he also has that defending side to him. He's pretty much like if you're looking at USMNT perspective, Aronson, right? Like that gnat, very pesty, swarming the ball over, covers a lot of ground. He actually covered the second most in the Eredivisie, Luca de la Torre. So he has that pressing ability to him as well, even though he's maybe not the most physical player. That's something he can always improve on, right? But having the passing, the vision, to be able to hold on to the ball as well as progress it, unlock those passes, and defending side, fantastic tools to utilize in La Liga. Now, final third, right? Switching to the cons. I think the final third, obviously, you're seeing the stats here. He can always improve on that, right? And this will be a huge test. Now, you could argue Heracles didn't have the best attackers, right? I mean, they got relegated. So playing with higher quality players as well should increase his stat lines there. Just saying should. Now, if he gets the minutes here. So There are other things too. If you're watching USMNT games, it was Heracles, right? Amazing runs, getting gliding past players here, great combinations or play, but just maybe it's not taking shots, being a little bit more passive there, knowing when he's in the box, maybe not getting as much touches there in the opponent's box there. He can always, and that's a lot of players need to improve on this, in the final third attacking there. The other thing I wanted to quickly mention, aside from physicality, right, is the consistency in terms of playing against high-level opponents. He's come in with CONCACAF, tired legs, Eredivisie. This is a huge step up in the league, right? And no knock to any of the CONCACAF for teams in the Eredivisie. There are some great teams. But we've seen him struggle in the past against top 4 or 5 teams. Consistently. He's had some good games, some bad games. But this is a league and this is a team where competition's high. He's going to need to step that up. But I believe in Austin with his mentality, what he's been able to do with USMNT, and just throughout his career. He's a very resilient, very intelligent player. I think the move really makes sense in terms of his style and play and his tenacity and work ethic. I believe will propel him here to the top. So this is a really, really exciting, bold, and confident move from Luca del Torre. Now, I did want to shift over to the next player on our list, and that is the new Leeds man, part of Leeds America, Tyler Adams. So Adams will be going to Leeds United with Jesse Marsh and Brendan Aarson on a $20 million deal. I think there might be $4 million on add-ons or so. But it is a taste into the Premier League. So this concludes his RB Leipzig time, and just with the Red Bull system from New York to Salzburg not Salzburg. I'm just assuming everyone's through that pipeline, right? To Leipzig, where he's had 75 Bundesliga appearances. Ended with the German Cup, right? Fantastic. He had some great experiences in the Champions League. Great top 4, top 3 finishes in the Bundesliga. Leipzig, fantastic club. You see what they're trying to build. They are building already, how they progress so quickly. And he was part of that. Obviously, towards the end here, he was pushed out of the lineup, out of the plans with Tedesco coming in, Marsh failing, right? That kind of triggered things. Obviously, the injuries too. Things kind of went south there, lamer. They had a lot of competition, but work ethic and training, we heard great things from Leipzig, as well as still getting cameo and getting minutes, forcing his way in when healthy. And then again, the early parts and the mid parts of his Leipzig career, he was fantastic, putting out fires, doing what we know Tyler Adams can do best. So I would say, if I had to grade it, obviously not the best way to end, but I think it's fair to say pretty much like a C+. I'd lean B-, right, overall in the Bundesliga. Maybe only recently kind of that C+ edge, but let's see what he can do in the Premier League. Now, with Leeds, it's a reunion with Marsh, like I said, and he will be kind of replacing big shoes in Calvin Phillips with going to Man City. Him and Mark Roca, also from Bayern, the Bundesliga, right? So few players brought in, and now Leeds is being tagged with this American. I'm trying to think of the right word, right? But bringing in other Americans, right? So this could either really hurt or help us from the American perspective, right? From the outside, from other countries and leagues. So it's a lot of bet in terms of the Americans here, with a team that barely survived. It was barely lifted up and not relegated with the Premier League. So Adams, right? He fits the style, exactly what Marsh plays. He's so familiar with Marsh. It's a main reason why he probably made the move to Leeds. Again, they're not a Champions League football team, Europa League. Let's see kind of where they can go and what they can do. I think it's just surviving. And it's going to be a scrap. And it's going to be different for Adams because he's been part of New York Red Bulls, Leipzig. He hasn't been with a team that's been kind of in this relegation battle. So interesting to see how he does there. Now, I think for the Prem, his physicality, snuffing out trouble, the high press, the tenacity of it, It's a demanding league, and when healthy, I think he could really thrive in this type of environment, this league. This could step up his level, competition. Again, fresh environment, fresh team, familiar with Marsh. Um, he's a fantastic leader in general in the field, so he has a lot of tools and tangibles that will, I think, warrant a very successful Premier League career here. Now, there are other areas that are a little bit concerning, and pundits have pointed out, and I wanted to touch on here with Tyler Adams. He's injury prone, right? That's one of the reasons why he kind of fell out of favor there. And aside from the tactical changes of Tedesco coming in, he's been another player of the USMNT stars that have been injured consistently, unfortunately. I'm knocking on wood here that he stays healthy for the World Cup, but it's a physically demanding league. So he has to be able to, make sure that he's taking care of his body, the physios, everything like that, and hopefully he can sustain that high level of games, right? The EFL Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, scrapping to draw and win to stay above and stay afloat. Now, the other thing too is in terms of just being more consistent, he has concentration lapses. Excuse me. He has to be more consistent with that. He's had some errant passes with Leipzig and USMNT, kind of just forgetting maybe what the pressure is coming to him, turning the ball over here and making some sloppy passes, maybe back to the keeper or to center backs. So he has to be more consistent there because, again, the Premier League is so ruthless and you will be eaten alive for those mistakes. I would also like to see him improve in terms of his long balls, as well as more progressive passes there. Even though he's more 6, right? More of that defensive mid, he can always improve on that other side of the ball. I think he needs to, aside from snuffing out danger, going into tackles, crunching, putting out fires, I'd love to see him add that element to his game to really be flexible and adaptable in the Premier League. So again, all in all, a lot of critics here. I know it's kind of like a strange feeling to me personally. It's exciting to see him in the Premier League, another American in Leeds, but it's concerning because it was a team that was almost relegated. So no Champions League football either. And it doesn't seem like the step up or move we thought he would make maybe a year or two ago. Again, bearing injuries, let's see what happens here for the best. I think Adams has, again, similar to Luka, but Adams has that mentality to lead, to succeed. He has a fire inside, and I think he'll do everything in his will to stay motivated and keep this team up. Now, we're going to shift to a forward here, and that is Pefok. Jordan Pefok here, the Golden Boot winner from the Swiss League. We had 22 goals, right, in 32 matches, 3 assists, some goals in the Champions League against Man United. Fantastic time at Young Boys. But it was time for him to move. Austin and I talked about that. Obviously, he could play it safe in the Swiss League, right, with the top team there, get Europa Champions League football. But he wanted to make that step up to the Bundesliga. Again, a top 4 league. A lot of these players making moves right before the World Cup to cement their place. So Union Berlin it is for 8.8 million. And Union Berlin is an interesting situation. They finished 5th, Europa League team. I believe 4th season now consecutively in the Bundesliga after coming up from the second tier. And they just lost Taiwo, who's going to Nottingham Forest. So bringing in Pefok, he has the ability with that disciplined counterattacking style, having that pure poacher, right, the skills, and he will get the service here, which is important too. Perfect fit, I think. So I'm excited to see what he can do, if he can do this and replicate it, not just Young Boys, but in the Bundesliga. That will be important for a team that, again, not mid-table, not bottom 4 or 5. This is a team that's top 5 or 6. They're trying to be very consistent. They have a slow build and slow goal here, which is exciting. So they usually play a 3-1-4-2. Geraldo Becker, right, one of the wingers, consistent starter there. Taiwo usually alongside him. They also have Volkslammer, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, 30-year-old German attacker there, striker. And then I believe they might have brought in 1 or 2 other players. But Pefok has a really, really good chance of maybe not starting right away, but he could get that spot over Volkswagen there. Maybe they adapt to different formations, but obviously Becker there he could partner very well with, be that poacher, that man up top there, to kind of be that target man essentially. So really great chance for minutes in the Bundesliga, a high level league, great chance for Qatar if he steps it up here. I think he's put himself in a really, really good position. So let's see what he can do. And lastly, just kind of a special add-in here. We weren't even going to add this in until we get some official confirmation. There's been some verbal agreements. Fabrizio Romano, I keep mentioning, he's never wrong, right, guys? Never wrong. You just got to take his word. It's like the Adam Schefter, or I'm trying to think of the other NBA guy, the Shams, the other insider, right? That has all the soccer intel. So Gaga Slonina, we've talked all clubs about Europe, around Europe, Real Madrid, Chelsea. I think Wolves was even thrown in there. Other, maybe even Munich, other large clubs. The 18-year-old keeper from the Fire looks like he's on the move with a verbal agreement, according to Romano, to Chelsea here, around 10 million or so. We'll see what the final deal is. So under the new owner, Todd Boehly, right, looks like he is looking to bring this highly coveted keeper under his wing. According to Romano in the details, the goal, or the plan, is to loan Gaga back to Chicago Fire, which thank goodness Austin and I mentioned on this show before, and a lot of you I'm sure are thinking about it. He's so young. He's still growing and developing here in MLS. Has the special ability to take it to the next level. But we need to see a little bit more in terms of consistency. He's only 18, right? And even if it is 2-3 more seasons in the MLS before making the jump to Chelsea, or maybe going on loan to low-level Prem or high-level Championship or what have you, right? I'm not sure. Chelsea's loan army is so large. I don't know what to do with their keepers, right? But I mean, you have Kep on the outs. You have, obviously Mane's teammate there. Mendy, who's a fantastic keeper. I mean, Chelsea has a great pipeline there, and that's going to be so hard to displace. Now, goalkeepers tend to develop later as well. So, even if he has 2 or 3 seasons in MLS, that's putting him around 20, 21 age. He might not be starting for Chelsea until maybe mid-20s, but we'll see. There's still a lot to kind of take in, right? He obviously had a lot of publicity from that Polish USMNT citizenship kind of poll there, as well as these Real Madrid and Chelsea links. So a lot of talk on him. He started off very strong with those clean sheets. He still has 7 here already with 19 starts this year. Sent to win that job back in 2021. He's had over 30 appearances now. But still, he's kind of dipped a little bit. He's starting to regain form. But after that news came out, the rumblings with Madrid and the transfers, I think there's just a lot going on. And he was feeling the pressure and made some kind of mistakes there. Hasn't been up to that high level that we saw earlier in the season. But he's starting to build that back up, right, guys? So very, very young player. Let's be patient with him. And again, I think it's fantastic that there's no pressure to, obviously it's different, right? Miazga's situation, what happened there with Chelsea. Obviously, it's a completely different position, different situation, but going back to the Fire is the best move here. Now, what I like about Gaga, right, just quickly touching on, his shot stopping ability, his athleticism. He's also pretty good with his feet. He's still developing there, but has the confidence, the ability there. Something special that we haven't seen in our keeper pool in a while, I should say. Obviously, we've had some great eras with Howard, Friedel, and I can go on and on, right? But right now, you see some of the struggles that our goalkeepers are having, playing out of the back. And I think Gaga can develop that, continue to develop that, and surpass some of our folks here in the next few years. So we'll have to see on that. Obviously, with the confidence, he needs to be careful. There are some shots that it looks like he should save, kind of loses concentration maybe, or just misreads, as well as misreading in terms of coming out too late or early. Being able to command a back line, being so young, still building that leadership there. But again, another kid with all the tools in the world to succeed. So we'll see what he can do from there, guys. But just wanted to throw that in there. Obviously verbal, but we'll get more confirmations here, I'm sure, in the next few days or next week. But thank you guys so much for tuning in here. We appreciate all the support. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't to us down below. And of course, comment, guys. Any other videos you want to see, any players you want to talk about. We'll be diving into our weekly reports when the seasons ramp up again, some Qatar roster predictions, more collaborations, you name it, guys. And again, content-wise, Instagram, Twitter, we're always putting out fantastic posts and updates for you all. And also, if you're not able to catch it on YouTube, which you should, make sure to check our episode out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, for that long drive or that boring chore, mowing the lawn, whatever you're doing, right? Taking away time from homework or whatever, or work in general. Make sure to check that out on podcasts. So again, with that, we have a lot of transfers going on. I'm sure more rumblings. I didn't mention it here with the goalkeepers going on loan, Stefan Horvath. There's so much building up here to Qatar and to an exciting season here that, again, will be disrupted by the World Cup being in the winter. But that just means how crucial it is for our guys to get consistent minutes with their new clubs or current clubs and battle it out for a spot on that roster. So again, I'll take Austin's line here, but one day we will win the World Cup.